Unity in the Seven Hills. We're without a mat this morning, which is a shame. But we are all here, and we're going to stand up and sing our hearts out. No matter where you come from, no matter where you're going, here's a place that you can take comfort in the knowing that whether you come to stay a while or just passing through, this door is open to you. Come and let's be silent. Come, let's share a hug. Come, let's pray together. Come, love and be loved. From the blissed out to the turned out, the pampered to the abused, this door is open to you. Come on in, come on in. God in us recognizes the God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you. If there's some kind of trouble or pain you're going through, know that you are not alone and someone cares for you. As an individualization of a divine point of view, this door is open to you. Come on in, come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you. Yeah. All right, let's do the next one. In our day-to-day world, life can seem so rough. With prayer and praise, we gather here to lift each other up, sharing poetry and praises and music that raises our connection to all perfection. Creativity, honoring diversity with encouragement, without judgment, building community, a family in unity. It's a feeling we carry in our hearts, a feeling we carry in our hearts. Creativity, honoring diversity with encouragement, without judgment, building community, a family in unity. It's a feeling we carry in our hearts, a feeling we carry in our hearts, a feeling we carry in our hearts. You know, it's interesting, you were looking at the honoring diversity and encouragement, judgment, all of those great messages, and it was written probably, well, before I got here. So that was a song written by the members of Unity in the Seven Hills. So that's got to be probably 15 or 20 years ago. Great. We were on the front side of the curve. All right, let's do this. Let's capo up too. All right, I'm choosing heaven today. So Ricky Byers. Oh yeah, sorry. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road to heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today. Choosing freedom, I'm choosing freedom today. I'm choosing freedom, I'm choosing freedom today. I am walking the road to freedom right now, singing I'm choosing freedom today. I choose forgiveness, I choose forgiveness today. I choose forgiveness today. I am walking the road to forgiveness right now, singing I choose forgiveness today. I'm choosing healing, I'm choosing healing today. I'm choosing healing, I'm choosing healing today. I am walking the road to healing right now, singing I'm choosing healing today. I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing love today. I am walking the road to love right now, singing I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing heaven, I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road to heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road to heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road to heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And good morning, Unity in the Seven Hills. I was reading today's news in advance, Lynchburg News in Advance, the Sunday paper, and on page 1 was an article about the Pride Festival that was held yesterday, and we were there. We were there with a wonderful booth, and I would like to thank a lot of folks who made this possible. I'd like to thank Paula, like to thank Robin, like to thank Bonnie, also Lisa, and also would like to thank Ari, who has done so much over the, all day in, day out about maintaining our positive relationship with the LGBTQ plus community. So it was a wonderful event that we were there. I was just so struck in seeing the stuff getting ready so quickly. I mean, it was on short notice. We didn't think we were going to get in, but then got in. And I love this bookmark, which is included. Who you love is not a choice. Putting a limit on your love is. Be limitless. Unity includes everyone. Unity includes everyone. Thank you all for all that and to make that outreach possible. Does everybody have a globe? If not, if the greeters could, no, does everybody? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay, great. Let's say that blessing over the Unity candle. There's only one presence and one power in the universe and in our lives. God, the good, omnipotent. Now, I don't know about you, but I bet you a lot of you, like me, with what's going on in the world, even if you're limiting how much, news you watch or whatever, and not trying to be, permanent news junkies, it can get you, and you feel, oh my God, what's going on, et cetera, feeling the tension. And I'm not like Pat Robertson used to hear from God before every station break. And I'm not that way, but there are times where I really feel very strongly it's the message of spirit. And what I honestly felt coming to me was that if something is wrong and abhorrent and immoral on the individual level, then slapping the term nation state or political movement doesn't make it right. Truth is truth. on all levels. And so I'm thinking, wow, I mean, where did that come from? I'm feeling that very, very strongly. Then in part of my morning prayer and meditation, I've been reading this wonderful book by Susan Gallagher called The Little One Diaries, where messages she has received from Spirit. Very interesting. There was no connect. Pamela Smith and I hadn't talked about it. But during Pamela's class, we both said, wow, we were just really bowled, and there are copies of the book down in the bookstore. We were just really bowled over it. So hearing, truth is truth on all levels. If it's wrong on the individual level, just saying it's the nation state or a political movement doesn't make it right. I open up, and here I read, "Little one, you asked for guidance, but I think you have clarity yourself. You are just unwilling to accept that you might be correct in your assessment of circumstances." Whoa. And then to continue, here it comes. "Little one, you have only glimpsed the wonder. Allow your consciousness to expand to fill the universe. Listen to the song of birds and hear yourself singing. There is neither limit nor constraint on the healing that is available to this planet and to the human race." Wow. I mean, confirmation. Then if you needed more confirmation, Rick, sometimes you can be blind, so maybe we'll give you some more confirmation. I actually meet Susan Gallagher here at the church, and Susan says, "I've been feeling, tension and this and that. Why don't we, if you'd like, we'll be glad to get these earths." So Rick and Susan got these little globes for all of us. I said, wow, that just, I really think confirms it. So why don't we take those globes in our hands? If you don't have, everybody does. Dear Spirit, we may be small, but we are with you mighty. Raising the consciousness of this planet starts with our consciousness. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with us. If something is wrong and immoral on the individual level, then saying that it's a nation state or a political ideology or something doesn't make it right. Help us to be channels of your peace in this world. And for this and so much more, we say thank you and amen and amen. What has also come to me, I'm sure I'm not the only one. A lot of you probably have read Isaac Asimov's great science fiction writer, the Foundation trilogy. In these books, again, science fiction, it's in a galaxy where things have, the way people have been living and everything, it's just inevitable. You can't stop the coming of a new dark age. So in the Asimov's Foundation series, there will be a new dark age, but a group forms called the Foundation. And what they are dedicated to is making that fall into a new dark age as short as possible, so there can be a rebirth of a renaissance, an advance of spiritual knowledge. I wish I could tell you we pray and all of a sudden the news is going to be fantastic. But remember, we can be like the Foundation trilogy, like that foundation. And even if it sometimes seems dark, we can help with our consciousness and our prayers to kickstart the path of, as it were, of the rocket back to its gyroscope, back to a path which is upward and forward and aligns with the progressive spirit. And for this and so much more, we say thank you and amen. Every week we go through a unity principle, and we're on the second principle, which the great news is, one presence, one power, and all that, very much about the transcendence of spirit. There's no spot where God is not. I joke, and I've said this before, Woody Allen, an early movie, said he believed in an all-powerful creator who rules the entire universe except for certain parts of New Jersey. And to realize that God rules all parts of New Jersey. There is no spot where God is not. And that includes inside of us, that there is that divine spark which is inside of all of us. I mean, what I love, what Susan talks about, and again, I can't say enough about this, is it's in every one of us to be wise. That we all have that ability to connect with the divine and to be open to spirit. And that is essence who we are. That's who we are. Not our fears, not the mistake we may have made in 1997 or whatever. The core of who we are is that Christ within, call it Christ, call it Buddha nature, Atman, higher power, Ein Sof, greater good. That is in essence who we are. And so let's say that unity principle together. Human beings are divine at their core and therefore inherently good. Therefore, that is who we really are. Not our fears, not our worries, not our sense of lack. And when we can realize that, and that golden spark is inside of us, then we are really, honestly, truly going someplace. Anybody who new to Unity in the Seven Hills or new to the Unity movement, our greeters have wonderful packets which they'd be more than happy to give out to you, which will explain, because there's something going on here almost every day which can help you in your spiritual walk. And we would hope that you would join us downstairs for fellowship, coffee and fellowship afterwards. And we are so blessed. Look at all the children. We are so blessed to have a wonderful youth and family ministry. Crystal has been doing such a fantastic job, and truly. And, it's grown to a point where we could use some volunteers, and I see people have signed up back there. If it's in your heart, you think you can give like a weekend or not a weekend, but a Sunday or something like that to help, please sign up because we're growing and we could use all the volunteers that we get to help Crystal. Why don't we bless our kids and send them off, and they will be back. Let's say that blessing. You are a perfect child of God, and God and I love you just the way you are and wherever you are.
Let's stand and sing. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine one more time. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Thank you, and be seated. Why don't we affirm our mission statement together? Unity in the Seven Hills is a vibrant, inclusive community that inspires individual spiritual growth through education, prayer, heart connection, and sacred service. And our vision statement, we are an inclusive community centered in spirit. We embrace our divine oneness, power, and purpose. And I've asked Christy to come on forward, if she could read our daily word. And Christy also, after the service, is our prayer chaplain today for one-on-one prayer. So please come on up afterwards.
Hi. The word today is grace. I walk in grace and peace today. I give thanks for the activity of God in my life that appears as grace. This divine gift manifests as the beauty of the world and the people in it, and as the comforting presence of God within and around me each day. I do not have to do anything to earn grace because it does not result from my attitude or actions. It flows from the infinite love of God within every person and surrounding every circumstance. It is the indwelling presence that sustains me in challenging times and lifts me in good times. I accept grace with gratitude when I have stumbled along life's path and received unexpected blessings. This boundless love fills my heart with bliss and peace. I live in the presence of infinite love, believing each unfolding event in my life is leading me to my highest good. My grace is sufficient for you. 2 Corinthians 12:9.
Thank you, Christy. Thank you. I've actually lived more of my life in Virginia than any place else. When I first came to Virginia many years ago, I was introduced to a friend of a friend, introduced me to Old Southerner, and took me to a traditional Virginia restaurant for breakfast, and I ordered eggs and bacon, and up comes this eggs and bacon, but this bowl of white glop. And I said, what's this? He says, it's grits. I said, I didn't order it. He said, well, in this part of the world, grits is like grace. It just comes with the meal. And there's a lot of truth to that. So we have some wonderful special music right now.
Speaking of, this is inspired by those Southern rock songs. There was no song that fit perfectly, so I wrote one. Hopefully it does fit perfectly with the message. I haven't heard the message yet, so we'll find out. And because we practiced it with Matt on keys, so there's a little bit missing, so we might have to do it again some other time, and see if you like it first, though. So you got to imagine the 15-minute solo at the end. All right, I'm talking Leonard Skinner, like full out violin, 2 electric guitars, the whole, All right. In the stillness of the night, the storm begins to brew. Life's tempests raging on, but I won't be subdued. And with every crashing wave, I find my inner strength. In the eye of the hurricane, I'll go to any length. As the lightning splits the sky and thunder loudly cries, I'll stand up straight and fearless with a hope that never dies. Through the storms of life, we'll find our way. Beneath the darkest clouds, we'll see the light of day. For in our hearts, we hold the key to conquer all, to set us free. With every gust that howls and every chilling rain, we'll rise above the chaos and break through every chain. In the whirlwind of despair, we'll dance like autumn leaves. With courage as our compass, we'll conquer our beliefs. As the lightning splits the sky and thunder loudly cries. I'll stand up straight and fearless with a hope that never dies. Through the storms of life, we'll find a way. Beneath the darkest clouds, we'll see the light of day. For in our hearts we hold the key to conquer all, to set us free. When everything seems to be going against you, remember that the airplane takes off against the wind, not with it. That's Henry Ford. And with Henry Ford's wisdom, we'll soar on winds so high. With hurricanes, no hurricane can break us. We'll touch the endless sky. And with the strength of ancient oaks and the ocean's deep so vast, we'll weather any turmoil. No challenge is too large. For in the eye of the storm, we find our hidden grace. We'll navigate life's hurricanes and find a better place. As the lightning splits the sky and the thunder loudly cries, I'll stand up straight and fearless with a hope that never dies. And through the storms of life, we'll find our way. Beneath the clouds, we'll see the light of day. Oh, for in our hearts, we hold the key to conquer all, to set us free. Oh, to conquer all, to set us free. Oh, to conquer all and set us free.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you, Daniel and Unity Band. Wow. Leonard Skinner has nothing on you. Well, my little daughter, Therese, must have been, well, she was 7 years old and she was in second grade. And I get a call from the school. Mr. Bellis, can you come on down? She's sick and she has a temperature, not feeling well. So I go in, I pick her, she's not feeling well. And it turned out it was like a 24-hour virus. So I take her, we're holding hands and we're walking out of the school. She looks at me and says, "Why do these things always happen to me?" You know what? Many of us, I mean, we probably would love life if much more, we say, if it was smooth sailing, we're on the good ship Lollipop. And why do there have to be crises and hurricanes in our lives? And yet, there's a very interesting saying in 12-step fellowships that pain is often the touchstone of spiritual progress. It's not the only way. I mean, and it's not probably the preferred method, but I don't know about you. But if it weren't for these crises, if it wasn't for the hurricanes, as it were, I'm not so sure I would have made some of the quantum leaps that I have made. For example, quite honestly, if I had, and I'm not trying to, the martyr of the meeting, who had the most rotten, crummy childhood, we'll measure it on the martyr meter. I mean, but it wasn't, for me, it wasn't an easy relationship with my parents, to put it mildly. And I a lot of times think, if it had been, would I have been as interested in spirituality? I certainly probably would not have become a minister. And so I think there are a lot of times where there's a lot of truth to this about pain being a touchstone of spiritual progress and giving us the sufficient kick in the metaphysical posterior to make us move and change. We're in this series based on Gary Simmons' wonderful book, The Eye of the Storm. I believe that this is one of the most important books that Unity has published in a long time. I think it's right up there with Discover the Power Within You by Eric Butterworth. We're not only doing these Sunday sessions, we're also doing something called a Spirit Circle. We met last Monday. It was wonderful group. It's a smaller group. We meet on Zoom, 7:30. Did I get the time right? I think I did. 7:30 on Zoom, and we go into greater depth of talking about whatever it was that the eye of the storm and et cetera. We'd love to have you join. There's a sign-up sheet in the back. A neat sign-up sheet, not the one I wrote. A neat sign-up sheet. If you've already signed up, because I see several people here who were last week. Don't worry, we got your information. I mean, but if you've not been before and would like the Zoom link sent to you, please sign up. Let's remind ourselves, because we did start it last week. And the beauty is that these services, we have a wonderful broadcast and audio-visual team. And so they are they're streamed out, they're archived. If you want to see it again, or if you haven't seen it, it's there for you to go to. But let's remind ourselves where we have been with this Eye of the Storm series. Last week, Gary really shared in many, many ways about so many times what we see and how we see it is a lot of times predicated on what we are bringing to the party. What we are bringing to the party. And if you remember those two Hindu astrologers saying to Reverend Gary, no one is against you. No one is against you. And also Gary talked about so much of his life, he's been feeling like there's a missing piece inside of him. If he could just find that missing piece. And so we look to the outside world to try to fill that missing, piece, or we go into a crisis feeling that scarcity, lack, what the Fillmores called error thoughts. This week, we're going to be learning to grow through the storms, And if you remember, a few weeks ago, Linda Dunn was here, wonderful talk. And Linda talked about, creating a real beloved community. And what happens so often is that, things seem to be going great, but there is conflict, and it either gets swept under the rug or not dealt with in a creative or healthy manner. And so what we're looking at in the Eye of the Storm is looking, on a church level, so many wonderful things have happened here, but looking at the challenges that we are facing as a church community and viewing the opportunities for more spiritual growth. And so we're not sweeping crises under the rug or not, dealing with them in an unhealthy way. And I would say there's an awful lot from this series to take into all areas of your life. The challenges you are facing in so many other areas, perhaps, and how you can look at them as opportunities for more spiritual growth. Now, Gary, I think it's brilliant. What he has done is taken the metaphor of a hurricane, the metaphor of a hurricane. And boy, that is one which really hits home because he talks so much about the eye of the storm. I remember my older daughter, Robin, who's now at the University of Massachusetts, she was 1 month old. And she was born prematurely, just released out of the NICU. It was maybe the first month, and she's home, with my late wife, Debbie. There's an electric breast pump, and all of a sudden, we got hit by a massive hurricane. I mean, it was dead on right through Northern Virginia and the Washington, D.C. area. Boy, oh boy, you could hear the trees falling left and right, gutters being ripped off, little Robin, crying and everything else like that. And the electric power goes, so you can forget the electric breast pump. So now we're dealing with the manual breast pump, which we hadn't dealt with before, and it was like the Three Stooges and a mechanical, breast pump trying to, and the crying and the this and the that in the background. Is our car going to be smashed? What's going to happen to the house? And all of a sudden, everything stops. And it's just peaceful, calm. And I mean, the light is just a beautiful rose light outside. And we walked outside. We were in the eye of the storm. And it was beautiful. It was peaceful. It was beautiful. And what Gary so much gets at, there are going to be crises in your life. If you take these crises at the circumference of the hurricane, it's destruction and it's not pleasant. If we can take these crises from the eye of the storm, then we have a greater chance of actually spiritually growing through the crises. And we can be part of the solution and not part of the problem. Gary writes, he says, wholeness is not outside of you, nor is it separate from you. It is the essence of your true nature and spiritual identity. And because wholeness is the foundation of your being, nothing can oppose you. Just like nothing opposed us in that eye of the storm. Gary writes, he says that conflict and interpersonal difficulty are like a storm system that arises when two weather fronts converge. There is a displacement, movement, and friction. The forces within the system build in intensity as temperature, dew point, and wind velocity, barometric pressure, the jet stream, etc., all start to collide. A hurricane is born similarly. Competing needs, wants, values, combined with misperception, defensiveness, and a need to be right, create an energetic field of influence that is a storm inherent in interpersonal conflict. And then he writes, at the center of the hurricane is its eye, a single theoretical point in space where the forces of the storm are in perfect equilibrium. At the eye there is peace, calm, clarity, stillness. The storm of conflict also possesses a center. I call this center the eye of the storm. The eye of the storm is your wholeness and spiritual essence. It is where you can experience the storm without resisting it. The center, the eye of the storm, is where you experience peace, clarity, stillness, calm. If there is a storm in your life, you can know that you and your wholeness are at the center of it. Are at the center of it. I could get, a case in point, and why being in that eye of the storm is so important. An actual situation which happened. My original Unity home church was Unity of Fairfax up in Northern Virginia. And my first Unity minister was Reverend Halise Green, a wonderful minister. I think she served there for 13 years. But she's a Chicago woman and felt the call to come back to Chicago and head up a church in Chicago, so she was leaving. Everybody is sad. We're leaving. We're losing Halise. Oh, my God. So we hire a guy, Reverend Bill Wilson, not Bill Wilson of Alcoholics Anonymous, a different Bill Wilson. And he comes with great credentials. He does meditation on death row in San Quentin with inmates. And he comes, and there are all these many wonderful things, but he also has a temper and has shown the temper several times. And several congregants are put off by this and that and the other. Hurricane. Next thing you know, there's a brewing in the congregation. We got to get rid of him. We got to get rid of Bill. And the other side, Bill is the most fantastic thing we've had here since sliced bread. And this storm raged. Interesting synchronicity. As this storm raged, the ceiling, I kid you not, the ceiling in the church started to leak big time, to the point we had to have a massive bucket in the center of the sanctuary to catch the water. The roof was literally falling in on us. Well, we have to have a town hall to settle this. And so, all right, pro-bill people line up this way. Anti-bill people, you line up over this way. And they're coming. I mean, people who've been friends for 20 years are, and oh my God, the bitterness and everything. Finally, there's a kid from YOU. She's like 13, and she gets the microphone, and she is in tears. And she says, if we at Unity of Fairfax can't demonstrate unity principles, what hope is this of working any place else in this world? Why can't we, And it was powerful. It was powerful. And you could sense the change in the room. People going into the eye of the storm. It took several days, but it wasn't long after. In the eye of the storm, a beautiful compromise came out. Bill, who lived in Chantilly, which is a little bit to the west in Fairfax, he said, I've been thinking, I've always wanted to pioneer a church. And Fairfax, we're big enough to, let's get out of scarcity feeling. Thinking, Fairfax is big enough to have 2 Unity churches in it, don't you think? Yeah. Well, what would you need to start a church, says the other side. And he says, well, I think, if we had this, that, and the other, okay. What would you, we've been at loggerheads, but if we were brother or sister churches and we were pioneering you, what would you think about? And if we could financially, so yeah. And out of that being in the eye of the storm, Unity of Fairfax eventually, very quickly, was able to fix the hole in the ceiling. And I called them, and that ceiling is still to this day holding very, very firmly. And another Unity church was formed, Unity in Chantilly, which Bill Wilson went off to. When we pulled into the eye of the storm, a peaceful, wonderful solution which benefited, I think, Fairfax County and also benefited the Unity movement, arose. Being in that eye of the storm, I hope that story can convince you about how powerful and wonderful it is. So the next question I could hear some of you asking is, okay, I can see the beauty of the eye of the storm. How do we get to be in the eye of the storm? And Gary would say that's a good question, and he has some wonderful solutions about how you get into the eye of the storm. First, you have to really want to be there. I mean, kind of, sort of saying, well, wouldn't it be nice? Like the Beach Boys, it's not going to happen if it's just, wouldn't it be nice? It's something you really have to want. So, do we really, or do I really want to be in that eye of the storm? And one of the ways of getting there, I think, is I've mentioned this before, but I think it's a beautiful observation by that great scientist, Nikola Tesla, who said, if you want to know how the universe works, think of three concepts: energy, vibration, frequency. Energy moves in many, many different ways and creates a vibration. And this was before, Tesla said this before we even came up with string theory. So they're vibrations, but then frequency. What are you setting your frequency to? And a lot of what Tesla did were create equipment which could set frequency. So it wasn't that you were just picking up any old radio frequency. You could set what you wanted to pick up. Are you setting the, again, if you're willing to be satisfied with any old frequency, that's probably what you're going to get. If you set it in your mind, that consciousness about a high frequency, which is being in the eye of the storm, then guess what you are probably going to be picking up. Next, Gary's, and I think this is so important, realize that there are gaps in your awareness. Realize that there are gaps in your awareness, that you and I don't know everything, and that what we tend to do is fill in the gaps. We fill in the gaps, and a lot of times we put in other people's worst intentions, or we assume the worst case. Gary suggests that we realize there are gaps in our awareness, and we learn to live with those gaps instead of filling in, and a lot of times filling in, the worst case scenario, as it were. Next, Gary suggests that we develop what he calls an internal witness. That and Eckhart Tolle talks about the internal witness too. I mean, so often that there's a saying in Washington that politicians get in the worst trouble when they start believing their own press releases. You start you have here's my story, it's sad but true. Da, da, da. I mean, and you start believing that story and forgetting what you're leaving out of that story. I mean, I was really amazed. My older daughter, Robin, she must have been 17 or 18, and I forget what the details of the dispute was about, but she then turns to me and says, whatever I do never satisfies you. I can't live up to your expectation. She then turned and said, Dad, we a lot of times quote General Schwarzkopf, who talked about bovine scatology. Rachel turned and said, oh, Dad, cancel what I just said. That's a lot of bovine scatology. The truth is that I screwed up. And I can't, and it's easier to blame. It's easier to turn around and say you have unreasonable expectations. I should have bought the. I mean, when we get into that internal witness, who can see beyond our own press releases, then we can really go into it. And then Gary suggests, what's the meaning? We are meaning makers. I mean, Viktor Frankl and Edith Eger, who we talked about recently, all stress, it's the meaning we put on something is so important. It's so important. I love the old story in baseball about a young ump and an old ump, and the young ump says, if it's a ball, I calls it a ball. If it's a strike, I calls it a strike. The old umpire says, them pitches ain't nothing, neither balls nor strikes until I call them. They are not balls or strikes until you call them. The meaning you give it is so important. The other is be on guard. And I wish I could tell you I'm a unity minister. I have all this made in the shade. Be careful when you are approaching the situation from lack consciousness, from lack consciousness. And catch yourself on that. Gary quotes the Gospel of Thomas. Now, there are 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, that made it into the Bible. But modern archaeology has found, we found over 50 Gospels. Now, the saying is some of those were written later, but some of them, like the Gospel of Thomas. Thomas is as old as probably as old as Mark, and Mark we think was the first gospel written. In the Gospel, in the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus says, if you bring forth what is within you, what you have will save you. If you bring forth what is within you, what you have will save you. And to quote that other great spiritual teacher, John Denver, who sang, it's in every one of us to be wise. We all have that ability to take a deep breath, question our own press release, develop that internal witness, and to face a situation not from lack consciousness. Rick, this is not 1963. This is 2023. What that feeling of lack that is coming up has more to do with 1963 than what is going on in 2023. And if we can get out of that lack consciousness and realize that we have it within us, then we can face the situation very differently. Gary suggests very strongly that we take Jesus and the Sermon on the Mount seriously. I mean, a lot of this stuff we heard, from way back, but for, a lot of us going through certain situations, it's window dressing instead of stuff that we really take seriously. For example, Gary suggests the part which he talks about loving your enemies. Loving your enemies, we take seriously. It means to relate, says Gary, to person or situations authentically, not from fear, insecurity, or obligation, but from a willingness to be the avenue through which God can express. The Dalai Lama and Thich Nhat Hanh both stressed that a lot of times the most important things we have to learn are from people who we might find very difficult to be with, who are, what they're doing might sound like chalk on a blackboard to us. But a lot of times, says the Dalai Lama and Thich Nhat Hanh, that's where the key lesson is, where we have to learn from, Gary suggests a 4-step process to center and to get to this eye of the storm. Love, bless, do good, pray. Love. First, love. In the presence of the enemy, writes Gary. Whoever or whatever seems to be against you, think of the person or the situation as a mirror of that place in you where you are not connected to your wholeness and worth. If you were connected, you could not be intimidated or threatened. Bless. In terms of blessing, next, bless the person or situation. This is a difficult one. Bless the hurricane. A key example of it is in the Old Testament. Joseph, remember, sold into slavery, oh my God, by his brothers. He's in Egypt. He's risen now to be the prime minister. His brothers come in. They see, oh my God, they go into the throne room to beg for food, and they see their brother who they sold into slavery. Oh my God, our goose is cooked now. And Joseph looks at them and says, no, I forgave you a long time ago. What you did for evil. God used it for good. When we can start looking at the situations and even start asking ourselves, what can we learn from this? Instead of Teresa's question, why does this always happen to me? Then we can really start to spiritually grow through that situation. Again, I think the Apostle Paul put it so well when he said, all things work together for good for those who know and love God. For those who can put on a spiritual perspective, all things work together for good. Do good. Do good. Gary writes, you must work for good in the situation. That way you are working as God is working. Doing good means doing the right thing. Doing the right thing. And pray. Oh my God. Remember, Unity started out as a prayer ministry, and our foundation is prayer. I know that a lot of times if you say to somebody, you're in my prayer, either they're thinking or they'll say, well, thank you, but quite frankly, I prefer cash. Prayer oftentimes is the most important thing that you can do. And prayer is not so much trying to change God's mind. Prayer is about raising our consciousness, so we can be aligned with divine order. Pray. And, Jesus on the cross saying, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do, quite frankly, is beyond my pay grade. All they'd have to do is show me sometimes, I think, the instruments of destruction. I'd be willing to confess to the Lindbergh kidnapping, or so, but the point is to see that as, all right, maybe beyond our pay grade, but I would love to be in that realm of Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do, in that difficult situation. Let me tell a story where I think really shows the power of being in the eye of the storm. It's a true story. It's about a woman by the name of Dolores Lessner from Racine, Wisconsin. Dolores is now 62 years old. She's just retired from being a secretary at a high school. She has grown kids. She's been happily married for a long time. But boy, oh boy, she went through the childhood from hell. Father was an alcoholic and then out of the picture. And her mother then started going through serious mental illness and could be violent, throwing things at Dolores. It's been difficult. She has tried to be a good grown daughter, but it is difficult. Her mother lives in the northern peninsula of Michigan. I mean, it's like in the winter, it's like living in an ice box. I mean, and her mother has a house which is not in fair winterized condition, and she's really concerned. Mom, come on down to rest. No, I'm not going to do that. And you always, you don't respect me. You don't. Okay, Mom. Okay, so Dolores then gets the idea. She finds that there's several state programs in Michigan which will help old people weatherize their homes. She gets that, but she also she has to kick in money, and so it's going to cost. But the most difficult thing is trying to get her mother to go live in a motel while they're weatherizing her house. And she realizes this is going to be a hurricane, a storm dealing with my mother. If I take this on the circumference of the storm, it's going to be, who knows what is going to happen. I mean, she's gotten violent and I'm going for the eye of the storm. And she did these things of love, of bless, of pray, of aligning to do good. She also, said, I so want to be in the eye of the storm going through this. Dolores went up to the peninsula, speaks with her mom, and first the mom saw something different in Dolores. When you are spiritually centered, oftentimes people, I'm not saying the world's always going to change to you, but believe me, when you are spiritually centered, there is a strength and a power in you which you may not even have known that you have. She came in, looked at her mom and said, Mom, we're going to go on a vacation together. And it's going to be in a motel, and they are going to weatherize. They're going to weatherize your house, and then we'll come back to it. And the mother steps back, and Dolores thinks, the mother is going to be taking a pot or pan or throwing it at her. The mother turns and is in tears and says, "This is going to cost money. Why are you doing this for me? We hated each other." And Dolores said, "No, Mom, it was a difficult relationship, but I love you. I love you deeply. I love you deeply." The mother sat down in her rocking chair and said, "Okay, can I take the rocking chair to the motel?" Dolores says, "Yes, Mom." And as she looked at the rocking chair, she saw a throw over the rocking chair which had little bunnies. And she remembered that throw. And what came back to Dolores was a sense of, before the mental illness came to her mother used to hold her on that rocking chair and rock her with the bunnies and all. That's the power of the eye of the storm. That's the power of the eye of the storm. The house was weatherized. They had a good time at the motel. And the rocker is back in the house with the bunnies. With the bunnies. There is such power in that eye of the storm. And so I think from all of this, first, storms are going to hit us. I wish I could tell you that that wasn't the case, but, you know, newsflash, storms are going to hit us. Second, we can take the storms on the circumference, and it will be very, destructive in many, many cases. Or we can take it from the eye of the storm. And third, the way we get to the eye of the storm, which has so much power, is first, we need to want to honestly, truly be there. We have to really want to be there. And that can come from, remember Tesla, energy, vibration, frequency. And one of the best ways of setting the frequency is through the concept of affirmative prayer. Positive statements, affirming that you are in the eye of the storm. And next, I think Gary is so right. We need to take Jesus and the ascended masters seriously. We know what they're saying is right. We know what they're saying is right. But putting in that fifth unity principle about living it, that's the difficult rub. That's the difficult rub. And we can do that again, I think, if we remember Gary's 4 things about love, about blessing, do good, and pray. Next week, we're going to come back to the eye of the storm, and Gary's going to show us the importance of making friends with conflict. Ugh, you kidding me? Next week he's going to be talking about making friends with prune juice and Metamucil. No, but I mean, seriously, making friends with conflict. And when we can start to do that, we can start to say, here's another opportunity for spiritual growth. When we are in the eye of the storm, we will have spiritual centeredness to ask a very profound and important question. And that question is as follows: how can what is before us truly be for us? How can what is before us truly be for us? And so, as I used to say on TV when many of us were young, tune in again next week, same bat time, same bat channel, for another thrill-packed adventure of the Eye of the Storm. Thank you, and God bless.
So we're going to go into our meditation. I was debating whether to read you the outro to the song that we just did. If we've done the 15-minute version, you probably would have heard this at the end. In the end, we'll be stronger, for we've weathered every gale, with scars that tell our story and a heart that will prevail. Through the storms and through the hurricanes, we'll find our way back home. With courage as our guiding star, we'll never be alone. So sing with me. I am set free, mind and spirit, when I really know God and I are one. I am set free, mind and spirit, when I really know God and I are one. I am set free, mind and spirit, when I really know God and I are one. I am set free, mind and spirit, know God and I are one. One more time. I am set free, mind and spirit, when I really know God and I are one. I am set free, mind and spirit, when I really know God and I are one.
Let's take a deep breath and slowly let it out. Let us take another deep breath in and slowly let it out. Let's close our eyes if we feel comfortable doing so. I want you to picture a crisis or challenge that is in your life now. Feel it. I know this may be a little difficult. Feel it. And then go to the eye of the storm, where you know that you are one with the one, where you know that you were born blessed and remain blessed, where you know that divine power surrounds you and love enfolds you. Where solutions and order manifest, and where you have the ability to do things which you may not have thought possible before. See yourself in that center of peace, love, and light. And from this joyous place, we can gladly go into the silence. Dear Spirit, thank you for this center of peace. Thank you for this power, and to know that it is always with us. When we stop and take a breath and recenter on you, where we realize that we truly are one with the one. And for this and so much more, we say thank you and amen and amen.
The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. And the presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is. Wherever I am, God is. Wherever I am, God is. And all is well. Let's stand and sing. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. And the presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is. Sing it like you mean it. Wherever I am, God is. Wherever I am, God is. And all is well.
Thank you. Thank you. Please be seated. You know, this used to be called, in this congregation, this used to be called resources, and now we call it announcements. I'd like to go back and call it resources, to look at it as spiritual resources. You know, stay informed about so much is going on around here. Go to unityinthesevenhills.org. We have also cards which have QR codes. We used to joke, if you don't know how to use a QR code, get a 12-year-old. They'll show you how, you know, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing, but there's so much going on. We still need some more individuals for the Sunday broadcast team. Thank you, broadcast team. I think the live streams we're putting on now, I mean, are just the quality and everything else really, really good. Join the team. There's sign-ups for that in the back. Also, as we mentioned, you could hear them. I mean, hear them downstairs. Crystal could use some help. Please sign up in the back, and thank you so much. We have a wonderful group which is meeting on Wednesdays afternoon at 1:30, both here and on Zoom. All Things Mystical and Metaphysical by Pamela Smith. Yeah, you know, even if, you know, I have to work, I understand that. But the neat thing is when we remember to push the record button, they do get recorded, or at least part of, I'm joking, part of it. So you can speak to Ari or speak to me. We'll make sure you get clips from the former meetings of this. I mean, Pamela is having incredible, wonderful people coming in, and it's a beautiful, beautiful circle. I mentioned about Eye of the Storm Spirit Circle meeting on Zoom on 7:30. I'll be facilitating it. Again, if you've already signed up, don't worry, you don't have to sign again. But if you've never signed, please sign back there. So we, the big key thing is to get your email address so I can send the link to you so you can join us, so we can go into greater detail. On Wednesday, November 15th, at 7 p.m. on Zoom, we're going to have another new member class. If you would like to join Unity in the Seven Hills, we'd love to have you. Please sign up in the back for the new member class. November 5th, Family and Friends Day. It's the first Sunday, you know, traditionally potluck, and it will be a potluck. What we're asking, you know people probably who you know, Unity, they could really be open to the message that we have here. Ask them. We have cards in the back. Please, very easy. You can talk to a friend or family. Has the details. November 5th. Please come. So please pick up some of these cards and pass them on. Speak up to friends or family. Quite frankly, I wouldn't, if it wasn't for my good friend Gordon, many years ago in the 1980s, I wouldn't have wound up at Unity. It was because of Gordon that I wound up here. Be the Gordon in somebody else's life, as it were. November 4th and 5th is the Festival of Light. It returns for its 15th year. Not only is it an anniversary year, but it will honor that much beloved founder of the event, Teresa Sharp, who made her transition this year, and many of you knew. Now the light shines through Pamela Smith has jumped in and has taken the reins of it, so come on out, show your support, get a reading or just shop for spiritual tools. Admission is $5 one day, $8 for both, and come on up.
I just have one black. Okay. Hello?
Working.
All right. So this one. Robin just wanted me to remind you, if you're working for the Light Festival, that next week she's going to be, after service, we'll just have a little quick group about how to, things to do and how to talk to people and things that will be going on for the booth.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And our prayer chaplain, as said before, is Christy. Please see her for one-on-one prayer afterwards. If you, please, folks online, if you like, comment or subscribe, please click on the bell for notifications. I would also say, wonderful stuff is Ari's putting some really wonderful stuff up on Facebook and Instagram and all that. If you like it, click, share. You can share it on your Facebook or Instagram page. That is one of the greatest ways we can get people to see the message through you, as it were, being like an ambassador for this. Why don't we say that wonderful prayer of affirmation of abundance? Say it together. Unity in the seven hills is abundantly blessed. Creative people are drawn to us. Divine ideas flow through us. Financial resources bless us. And we accomplish mighty works together. And I want to tell you, well, the board has been sent this, but we just got September figures. We're small but mighty. We were in the black. We were in the black, and the tithing and contributions, compared this year, compared to last, just really, really beautiful. And the volunteering has been just wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we are a tithing community. We support local charities here. We also support Silent Unity and also Unity Worldwide Ministries. As you come forward, as the greeters have us come forward, please put contributions there. Take time to stand in front of the Unity candle, and then please take an affirmation. I know many folks give monthly or whatever. Don't worry. Your blessings and your positive vibes mean so much to us. There's a reason why this place is part of the New Thought movement. And now, what comes?
Something wonderful.
Something wonderful.
I had an idea while you were talking.
Yes, sir.
You said about your Gordon. Gordon
Yes.
was the person that invited you. How about we all go back to the person that invited us and ask them if they would join us on the friends and family. If they're still around, hey, they were the ones that invited us in the first place. So why not let's go back to them and see if they want to return if they're not here right now. Mine's Paddy Doherty. Something wonderful is happening to me right here. right now. I can feel it in my body, I can feel it in my soul, I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go, no it won't let go. All this love inside, we can let it shine out, yes we can. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. I can feel it in my body, oh I can feel it in my soul, I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go, no it won't let go. All this love inside, we can let it shine out, yes we can. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. I can feel it in my body, oh I can feel it in my soul, I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go, no it won't let go. All this love inside, we can let it shine out, yes we can. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. I can feel it in my body, I can feel it in my soul, I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go, it won't let go. All this love inside, we can let it shine out, yes we can. Something wonderful.
Just wait till we finish.
So let's bless the gifts together, the offerings. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies
all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, united in mind, body, and spirit. I dedicate these gifts as they grow to bless our community, our neighborhood, and our world.
So let's close with a peace song. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, united all are we. Yes, we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me. Yes, this is the moment now. With every step I take, yes, this is my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with